Get ready, anglers. It's time to break out the cast nets, sabikis, and traps to keep things frisky and separate a good day of fishing from a great day of fishing.
That's right. I always say if you match the hatch, you're gonna catch. So get ready because it's all about the bait on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
You're watching the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and this week we're getting back to basics because you know what? Let's face it, Rick, without the right bait, we're just, we're fishing, not catching.
That's right. But you know what? Certainly understanding the time of year to use what kind of bait is really important. And guess what? All 9 of our captains are here to make sure everybody gets it straight.
Yep, and we're going to hear all about the bait from those captains, plus CCA is in the house. But you know what, before we dive in, we have to say hi to Dave at the CCA workbench. Dave, what are we talking about today?
Bait.
And then?
We're talking about bait.
More bait.
And some more bait.
And some more bait.
All kinds of bait.
Rigging bait,
live bait, dead bait, frozen bait. You got the bait, we got a mate to rig it.
There we go. All right, let's begin in the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region, where there are so many options when it comes to your bait of choice. So let's see what our captain, Jimbo Thomas, has to say. Hi, Jimbo.
Hey, Bree, Rick, and Dave. You know, we're lucky here in the Southeast region to have such a great variety and abundance of bait. Generally, all you need is a block of chum, a few sabikis, or a cast net to fill up that bait well. Or you can take the easy route, break out the wallet, buy bait from one of the many bait boats that work around your local inlet. There's a lot of popular spots to catch bait throughout the region. We all have our favorite spots, but the Blue Heron Bridge in Lake Worth, also around any of the fishing piers along the coast, around all of the inlets, navigation markers and buoys, as well as the numerous bait patches. They all are, the whole bait at one time or the other. Now, the most common baits are threadfin herring, which are my favorite, pilchers, goggle eyes, sardines, cigar minnows, blue runners, speedos, ballyhoo, and pinfish. And they all have a time and a place for those different baits, depending on what season it is. We like to use certain baits. Also, for what we're fishing with, we will use different baits. Now, we look for birds, and we also watch our depth machine to locate the bait. Or you can put out a block of chum on a known area and let that bait come and find the boat. A sabiki rig is our preferred way to catch the bait, and we only use the cast net when they're not eating the sabiki. About the only thing that will cast net are pilchers and ballyhoos. The rest of the stuff gets really beat up when we use that cast net. Now, aboard the Thomas Flyer, I like to use R&R sabikis and also pin 4,500 size spinning reels and 12-pound tests. Now, in the Miami area, pilchers have been really hard to come by lately, but the herrings and the goggle eyes, which is kind of what we like to use right now, they've been pretty consistent. Now, let's go inshore and catch some bass. We haven't had much rain to speak of, so that means the water level is still very low in the Everglades, which is concentrating the largemouth and those peacock bass in the canals and also the deeper holes. Now, the best fishing is going to be early in the morning and then late in the afternoons. And what those bass lack in size, you'll make up for those in catching a lot of them, make up for them in numbers. Best baits have been wacky worms, crankbaits, and topwater baits. And then the peacock bass, they've also been biting good in the lakes, in the canals of South Dade and pretty much throughout the whole area, the urban lake and canal system. And unlike those largemouths, they like to bite in the middle of the day when the sun is up nice and hot, which we got plenty of that lately. Blue Lagoon lakes and the adjacent canals have been hot spots lately for the peacocks. Best bait's been on live minnows or shiners, and twitch baits in silver and black or green and black. Now, moving offshore, this is actually prime time to catch some blackfin tunas. We got a lot of live bait in our wells, so go up to the edge of the Gulf Stream, look for those blackfins. They're being caught throughout the region, but where they're going to bite the best is determined by the amount of north current and blue water, and that does change every minute of the day. Best fishing's been on those live herrings and pilchards or sardines. Want to fish them under the kite, or you can flatline them. Tunas have been about 120 to 200 feet of water, more or less, and they have been biting throughout the day. But best way to get them going is if you can find those pilchers that have been kind of elusive. If you can chum those tunas up late in the afternoon, just before dark, is when they're really going to bite the best. Now, most of these blackfins, they've been in the 20 to 30-pound range. We've been catching them on 20-pound tackle, using 30 to 40-pound fluoro leaders and 4.0 to 6.0 circle hooks. Got a photo here. This is a 27-pound blackfin, nice fat one that we caught off Key Biscayne last week.
What a pretty fish.
Along with the tunas, there's been steady action with sailfish. And again, if you can find some North Current and blue water, that's where the best sail fishing is going to take place. Sails, they've been being caught on the same live baits, herrings, goggle eyes, and pilchers. You can flatline them or kite fish them. They've been anywhere from 100 to 300 feet of water. And the weather, if the weather gets calm like they're predicting, keep an eye out for any free jumping sails. And if you can get lined up with them, get the baits out in front of them. And more often than not, that'll end up getting you a bite. And if you can live chum late in the afternoon, that'll work great on the sails as well. Got another photo here. And this is a jumping sail, one of the many sails that we've caught in the last couple weeks.
That's beautiful, Jimbo. Thank you so much for starting us off this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the southeast region. Inshore, fish the Everglades, urban canals, and then lake systems for early morning largemouth and afternoon peacock bass. And then offshore, fish live baits under a kite on the drift in 90 to 200 feet of water. Late in the day for blackfins, kingfish, and maybe even a sailfish.
All right, let's check in with Captain Jeff Page and see what bait we'll be using this weekend to hook up to some redfish, permit, and snapper in the Star-Tron Central West region. I know you're ready, Page, so just give it to us.
I'm ready, and you know what? Jimbo didn't mention it a lot, but cast net's probably the most popular tool in my region, and really depending on the depth of water or the type of water is what size cast net you're going to want to use. If you're up on the flats or you're on the shallow parts of sandbars, a little 6 to 8 foot light lead line cast net will work. And if you're out in deeper water or around bridges or fast moving current, you're going to want to use a 10 to 12 foot cast net with an extra heavy lead line. And then the mesh size, 1/4 inch for your smaller baits, 3/8 for your medium-sized bait, and then up to 1 inch for your silver mullet and even black mullet. The other ways we catch them are, of course, sabikis and then traps. Rick, you taught me about pinfish traps a long time ago, and traps work real well for your pinfish, your crabs, and your grunts. And also you can dip net around dock lights at night when there's a good current moving. And then we have bait barges as well, one at the mouth of the Manatee River, 941 bait, and then there's one at Cortez Bridge, and then I believe there's one down in Gasparilla Sound. I've got a couple cool bait picks I sent in. And then staying inshore, redfish, Rick, the redfishing remains really strong. A lot of fish have pushed in from the Gulf. I've got good reports of guys catching them around the Fort DeSoto area, as well as McGill Bay, Terracea Bay, Palmasola Bay, and Longbar Point. Now look for these fish on the higher tides around the oyster bars and mangrove shorelines, and once you've determined that they're there, alive, there's a lot of floating grass, so it's a good idea to cork your bait, be it a pilchard, a shrimp, or even a pinfish. And if you're into throwing lures, the gulp, new penny gulp shrimp on a 1/4 ounce jig head, or golden brim little john works real well. My redfish pick tonight is a good longtime friend, Frankie Lippert, with a nice red he got on a topwater plug. Moving offshore, permit fishing, still red hot, and they're in close, Rick. I don't know if it's because it's lack of rain or what, but there's a lot of fish in as close as on the 1 mile reefs, but that 3 to 7 seem to be the bigger fish. Again, it's a good idea to dip net your bait the night before on the outgoing tides in the passes, and then go out there with some $half to 1/4 size pass crabs. And if you have trouble getting those, Billy Alston's been doing real good on that U-Pro Pompano jig in the yellow and white. Got a permit photo tonight of a happy client with that fish with Brett Norris of Rock Bottom Charters, and my last species, mango snapper, 110 to 150 feet, hard bottom areas, as well as sharp ledges, no problem. getting the mangs up off the bottom with a chum block, and then taking your bait and scissoring up small pieces of pilchards or thread fins, and then chumming them in with those, and then putting a small piece on a light wire 1 or 1/0 size circle hook. And my bang picture is Captain Derek Jacobson, who's a South Region captain, but he came up and fished with Captain Brian Alcorn aboard Double Trouble out of Cortez. And I got a real quick report. Longtime captain, longtime CCA lifetime member Scotty Moore has had the boat ramp on North Coquina Beach named after him, officially the Scott Moore Boat Ramp, Rick.
Oh, that is so awesome and so well deserved. I can't wait to call him and tell him congratulations. Good job, Paige. Great report this week. I see you standing on your head in your video, so thank you so much. The Daiquiri Deck Central West hotspots. Captain Page says, inshore, the tarpon, good-sized schools on the beaches from Egmont Pass south to Venice Jetty. Look for the fish laid up early in the morning. Maybe you want to cast a free line crab, a threadfin as the days moves on, and then try corking your threadfin or a pinfish to keep them from running from those schools. And then offshore, amberjacks, they're holding on the ledges in the reef, 70 to 110 feet of water off of Anna Maria south to New Pass. Use live pinfish on a standard bottom rig or vertical jig them with a pink and white vertical jig, Bree.
Such an agile man, him.
Wow.
Jeff Page. All right, next up, we're seeing what Dave is showing us at the CCA workbench for Fish Bites Trading Post rigs and techniques. Dave?
You ain't gonna see me standing on my head.
Oh, come on, you can do it.
Rick's got me, using a Ferrari here to go bait fishing with, man. This is, very nice rod and reel setup.
Got to keep it smooth, Dave.
Yeah, this is very nice.
Vroom,
We're gonna talk a
vroom.
little bit about that to go sabiki in.
Sweet. And then south, we're headed to the Southwest region with Captain Ronnie Houston. He's taking the stage, so make sure you stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Sirius XM Marine. Weather, fish mapping, entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Berkeley Prospect Chrome. Fish Bites Trading Post. The first choice of First Coast anglers. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
So here we go. It's time for the Fish Bites Trading Post rigs and techniques here at the CCA workbench. Dave, it smells like something over here. Bait.
Well, it's not this bait, it's probably me, because this is nice bait. It doesn't stink. It's very frozen. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about what, if you're going to go sabiki in for some of this bait, some of the things that we'll use here. This is a very nice Spinfisher 7 reel, a Penn Spinfisher 7. It's the 7th generation of the Spinfishers. Very nice. IPX5, sealed body and spool. It's got CNC gears in it. HT100 carbon fiber drag. It's probably one of the nicest reels you'd want to use to catch bait with. It's very nice.
Well, that's the problem, though. If you buy something now, it's going to work for you for years
Correct.
after years because it's quality.
Right, and that's on a Carnage 3 rod, 8 to 12 pound mono, which is probably what you want to use to catch bait. It's graphite composite with Hypalon grips, and you can catch trout, reds, just about any nice fish with it, and bait as well. And sabiki rigs we're talking about. Eagle Claw's got some really nice sabiki rigs out now. Totally. A lot of different kinds. They even have a little shrimp version, which we don't have here today. But they have all these really good little sabikis. You can use them. I would use a really heavy weight because a lot of guys don't use a heavy enough weight.
And why is that important?
Well, because when you get your sabiki backs and you notice that there's 2 hooks together, what happened was one of those fish ate the bait and then got up into the other one, and that's how they get. And if you've got a real heavy bait, it keeps them spread out. They cannot come up and get tangled up like that.
Plus, thread fins, guys, they're really high energy. What'll happen is you hook a thread fin on the bottom, and he starts swimming up the line, and his buddies, the next thing you know, it's tangled because you didn't have enough weight to keep it tight.
Correct. And these are hook sizes 2 through 10. And once you hook your bait, if you don't have a live well on your boat, use a nice cooler or a bucket with a nice bubbler on it. Mm-hmm. I prefer to use a cooler because cooler water, if you keep that water cool and with a nice sealed lid and it's nice and dark in there, it holds more oxygen, your bait will last longer, so go with the cooler if you can. I use a lot of bait when I fish. I do a lot of offshore trolling. That's my deal, you know. So I like to use ballyhoos. Bait Masters of South Florida makes, you know, some of the best ballyhoo you can get. They vacuum seal them. They only use greenback ballyhoo.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about the two different types.
Well, there's greenbacks and there's bluebacks, and the bluebacks eat a lot of plankton and stuff, makes their belly soft. The greenbacks are more of like a grass-fed. That's what they call them, a grass-fed ballyhoo. You can tell the difference when you look at your baits. They have a red tip and an orange tail. Blueback has a red tip and a red tail. So we want that orange tail. That's the really good ballyhoo. And you know,
they're hardier.
They're much hardier, and they're firmer bait, especially if you use a nice brine on them to get them nice and hard. Now, when you're sabikiing also. You want to make sure if you're trying to catch ballyhoos, the ballyhoos are going to be at the upper level. You want to keep that top, the very tip top little sabiki. You want him to be at the surface,
right? And
because all the ballyhoos are going to be right at the top. You can even lift the first one out of the water, and just to make sure that your sabiki is laying right there along the surface as well. So that's
some fellas use a little cork.
Sometimes you can put
and then they tip the sabiki
with shrimp or whatever.
I've used
fish
little
bites.
tiny pieces of fish bites. You know,
right.
You use a scissor and cut it, and then you just barely put it on the eye.
Right.
Of the hook. I mean the hook itself.
Right. And don't be afraid to buy rigged baits. If you're a guy who's not real good at rigging baits, Bait Masters makes great rigged baits. These are actually circle hook rigged baits.
Wow.
With a swivel. They use the same
little
swivel with a grommet on it. So the same kind of stuff the boys are, you know, the professionals are using. And also they make really nice double hook wire rig ones. You know, if you're out targeting wahoos or big kingfish,
or the
which
mahis.
I do, or mahis,
yeah.
you know, anything. You put this on a downrigger,
right?
It's a crusher. And they also have a lot of other different baits, and we'll go through those when we do the swordfish show and the marlin show. We got all kinds of really cool frozen baits in here that Bait Master gave us, and you know, just make sure that you really, you know, look at your bait before you buy it, because you don't want a bunch of ice crystals inside the package, you know, for freezer burn and that sort of things. You want to make sure you look at their scales. You don't want a bunch of scales off the bait, because they don't last very long if they've been scaled.
Right.
You want to make sure that they've got nice, big, bright eyeballs as well, just like if you were buying fish at the market to eat.
Thank you for helping us with the right ballyhoo. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Always learning from Dave.
Always learning from Dave over there. All right, if you're fishing the bottom in the Alto Equipment Southwest region, it's time to break out the cut baits. So let's see which one Captain Ronnie recommends. Talk to us, Ronnie.
Well, you know, great advice from Dave and Rick, but we're going to keep it simple for the working man over here. You know, the offshore, most of your bottom fishing can be done with a variety of cut baits. And like I said, we're going to keep it simple. You know, squid, herring, sardines, and cigar minnows, which are probably the most common. But there are times where a scent might not work, and the fish will want to eat something moving like a pinfish or herring or pilchards, just to name a few. Now, this all works well with hard bottom and ledges. You know, when it comes to fishing wrecks, it might involve chumming to bring fish away from the structure, and then possibly once you bring them away, using a live bait or several live baits to draw them to the top. And then here again, we're using herring, pilchards, or maybe even crabs, depending upon what you might be fishing for. But, you know, vertical jigs and slow pitch jigs are becoming more common, but a good way also to cover water to locate some fish on the offshore side. You know, you can't really beat the old reliable bucktail with squid, you know, especially, like I say, to locate. And you can do this by drifting, and as you're drifting, bouncing the bottom. Or if you find some structure and you see something on your bottom finder, anchoring on top of that structure and making several drops down below in different areas, and try to pick the area apart. And this week's picks is a prime example using artificials from Lucky Strike Fishing. You know, guys are catching grouper right now using artificials, but like I say, the cut baits will also work. Nice. Still on the offshore side, the red groupers. Now, Captain Gordy Watson of Lucky Strike Fishing reports, if the weather's good, it's moderate, and then we get fronts still blowing in and out, grouper fishing has really been solid. And he's telling me there's a lot of fish in the 85 to 105 foot range, but you know, you might have to bounce in and out in those depths to figure out where these quality fish may be. But he's also telling me as the water temp's starting to heat up, these fish are starting to move in a little shallower. So I'm sure the next couple of weeks, we might be going shallower than 85. But the best baits for him right now with quicker results have been live herring or live pinfish. Don't get me wrong, he said cut baits will also work, but he's limited out pretty quick with the live bait. He's also telling me, like we talked about in the bait, 2 to 4 ounce bucktail still will work. It will trigger a good bite while fishing a hard bottom. And another picture with this week with Captain Gordy Watson with a nice red grouper, practicing the pattern we just spoke about.
Wow.
On the inshore side, the tarpon. Now, we're still reporting fish improving to the north, just like clockwork, the time of year from Fort Myers Beach right now to Boca Grande. And with the approach of the full moon, there's a couple things you can do in May. And if it doesn't blow, we don't get a blow, your beaches, your passes, your sandbar edges, and bridge spans are also holding a variety of fish. But a variety of live baits, free-lined or under a cork, such as pinfish, herring, and crabs. Guys are also telling me you can't find some of those. Ladyfish are also working well as artificial swim baits 4 to 8 inch size. Captains I've talked to say, look, try not to chase these fish. Let them come to you. There's plenty of opportunity for these fish out there, plenty of guys out there fishing. Do not pressure the fish. But you can also fish at night. The little cooler weather we'll have at night because it's been hot during the day. Concentrate on those bridge spans. The shadow lines have been key. And we have a nice tarpon picture this week, a nice release of Captain Chris Slattery up to the north. Last species is going to be the redfish. Indian Key to Lossman's River. Concentrate your efforts on fishing these outer Gulf Islands along combined with oyster bottom or oyster bar points and areas of deadwood. Like I've said the last couple times, your mid-times seem to be better, but the higher tides you might have to work for it. Judging by the higher tide, you cut baits up close to some of those areas or chumming heavy to draw these fish out of the mangroves. But on your lower tides or your outside edges or negatives, sight fishing the bites with cleaner water has also been working. You can use a variety of lures like topwater walk-the-dog lures and your Berkeley jake walkers, strongest suggest the 100s and the hijackers. Gold spoons and some of that cleaner water for flash and a reaction bite. Bass Assassin, golden brim, shrimp or paddle tails, the darker color in that cleaner water. But for scent and darker colors, yellow, brown, or chartreuse bucktails tipped with shrimp. And there's a nice redfish recently caught down in the Florida Everglades while fishing with Captain Derek Daffin. At right now, the forecast says winds are supposed to be calm out of the weekend, a little bit to the west. So guys, get out and catch you some fish.
Thank you so much, Midnight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the battery tender hotspots from the southwest region. Captain Ronnie says inshore, snook, nighttime intercoastal docks and seawalls from Marco to Fort Myers Beach. The shadow lines and good moving water is very important, guys. And then offshore, permit. Fish most of the wrecks and artificial reefs throughout the region using live crabs, Bree.
All right, the Key West Marlin Tournament's coming up July 17th through the 20th for your shot at fishing for some serious cash in the sun-drenched Keys. This is more than a competition. It's a high-stakes adventure with hundreds of thousands of dollars up for grabs where every catch could lead you to victory. Join the ranks of fishing aficionados in the grand tradition of Hemingway himself and make your mark in the Florida Keys. Get registered today at keywestmarlin.com.
They have the best dock parties and captains meetings. It's the best.
Oh yeah,
the
best.
World class.
Just super fun.
Yes,
super fun. Super fun. All right, we're throwing our nets into the Fish Bites East region and saying hi to our friend from CCA Star. And then we're headed into the front runner boats Northeast region with the one and only Captain Tommy Derringer. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, your fish, our science, Bahio, blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses, Scoozy Shoes, the captain's choice for premium lightweight comfort, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong, Penn, let the battle begin, Kubota, together, we do more. And the International Order of T. Roosevelt, protect your right to fish.
Well, guys, as you can see, I have the lovely Captain Lisa Fitzgerald from the CCA's Florida Star Tournament. Lisa, we're talking about bait this week, and you got some little hint for us.
Yeah, well, good things come to those who bait, So I have to tell you, already we've had 6 fish caught even before the competition starts coming Memorial Day weekend. And guess what they were caught on?
I had no telling.
live or dead shrimp. So that's a little hint for our anglers out there. They want to be fishing with some shrimp. I am sure that fish bites will work as well, but I really want to give another hint, Rick.
What you got?
All right. 8 fish in both of these counties. These are our destination counties. So we want you going to Charlotte County, Punta Gorda, Englewood Beach, or to Citrus County because they have double the number of fish. Do you know Charlotte County has had 3 winners that has come out of that? You want to go there and fish? Citrus County has had 2. There have been a lot of other fish caught in other counties, but the thing we have to remember is you have to be registered in the competition.
Absolutely.
Before you cook the fish. You have to be a CCA member. We have $500,000 in prizes. Any fish can win. You can catch any species of saltwater fish and enter it in the Star competition. So I am urging our anglers, get yourself registered. If you don't fish, you can pick up trash in the Coast to Kick Plastic Trash Division. There's so many different ways to win in the CCA Florida Star competition presented by Yamaha.
We still got scholarships?
Oh my gosh. In the Real Tree Fishing Scholarship Division, $100,000 in college scholarships, rounding out $1 million in scholarships that we will have awarded going into this year being the 10th year of competition.
Guys, we've given you the platform to capitalize on a lot of prizes, a lot of money. Thank you so much for what you do for CCA. We appreciate all the efforts that you have in conservation as well as having this tournament.
Yeah.
Where can we find out more information quickly?
You can go to our website, ccaflstar.com. Get yourself registered. I can't tell you how disappointed I will be when you call me and tell me you caught a fish and are not registered.
Oh, don't do it, guys.
No.
Go get registered.
They
right,
won't
Bray?
be. Right, they won't be. They won't be. All right, now is the time to take advantage of the spring bait fish runs. So get ready for all the mullet and sand perch in the Fish Bites East region. Let's fill the well, Mike.
Yeah, you know me, Bree. I'm a big fan of the free bait system.
Yes.
And this is a really great time to throw a cast net inshore for silver mullet, pilchards, menhaden, and sand perch. There's been big schools of silver mullet in the Indian River along the docks from Walton Road all the way up to Midway Road. One throw will get you all the bait you need per day. For sand perch, anywhere close to the inlets works well. Pilchards can be found on the bridges after dark right now. I like to throw a 10-foot quarter-inch mesh. A 10-foot quarter-inch mesh net for pilchards in the shallow water. But we'll go to a half-inch stretch for the mullet and for the menhaden and the threadfin, and also for deeper water, I'll just add a little bit more weight. All these baits you can take offshore, and then if throwing a net isn't your game, you can head out to those areas close to the piers or any of the shallow reefs and wrecks and sabiki up everything from goggle eyes, blue runners, and Spanish sardines to threadfins or pilchards. I like a number 8 size sabiki for the threadfins. I like that in green. I like it number 6 or number 4 for the pilchards. I like those in red, and for the sardines, I like that red as well, the smaller size. Seems like the green just works best for the threadfins these days. The other thing we got going, we've got a building moon this week. That'll really fire up the daytime snook bite in places like the mouth of Taylor Creek, the Fort Pierce Inlet, the Jensen Beach Causeway, and the Ermine River. The silver mullet are running in all those areas. So you want to start your day throwing topwater plugs or saltwater sass and dye dappers, then go straight to live mullet, about 9:30 as the sun gets up. This is also a really good time to work the seawalls, the St. Lucie, and also the Loxahatchee River. Throw a live mullet on there for big snook. All through the month of May, that's going to work. On the windy nights, you want to throw big, soft-bodied jigs like an Artemis shad. You can also throw like silhouette lures like a red-tailed hawk. Work those around the bridges and around the inlets, particularly on the windy nights. And then the average snook in my region, 6 to 15 pounds. I got a photo. Captain J.J. Klarman of Jensen Beach sent me this shot of a nice snook his clients caught along the mangroves of the Indian River. That fish ate a live threadfin, and that's one of the species that's in the CCA Florida Star Tournament. Starts May 25th, runs through September 22nd. That's 100 days of fishing, 8 different categories, over $500,000 in prizes, as Liza said, including a lot of college scholarships. If you got kids, you've got to enter this. The chances of winning a scholarship are really, really good. but you can't win if you're not a registered member. Go to ccafloridastar.com to register and learn more.
Tell me about the offshore fish, bub.
Well, the offshore dolphin bite remains very good. Boats that are running and gunning and covering a lot of water are having the most consistent action. The best fishing has been on the days with easterly winds, which really stack up the weed lines and help define the rips and edges. The action's been totally random. Fish caught as shallow as 50 feet, as far out as 20 miles or more. The key is to be the first one out there. A lot of anglers are forgoing the live bait. They're, getting ballyhoo or double hook mullet, and they're getting out there in the dark, being right there at dawn. The first one's on the weed lines. Average dolphin 8 to 15 pounds. Plenty of larger fish in the mix. Captain Glenn Cameron and Stewart sent me this photo of a nice dolphin they caught on the Floridian charter boat. That fish ate a trolled ballyhoo in 140 feet of water.
Nice.
The other offshore bite we got going, the most consistent action right now in blue water is on kingfish. They're spread out really through the whole region, from the drop in the reef off Jupiter to the Loran Ledge to the 6 Mile Reef off Stewart and Jensen to the offshore bar off Fort Pierce. And then on the west wind days, which we'll have early this week, just about every bait school close to the beach has the kings on them. So places like the Kingfish Hole and the Vero Cove, you'll see some really big fish in the mix as well. For the school fish, the best bait's a live Spanish sardine, but everything from a threadfin or pilchard to a blue runner, goggle eye, or mullet will work. You can also troll double hook ballyhoo or swimming mullet, or even large lip diving plugs. Average king in my region is going to be 10 to 20 pounds, but they're catching them over 40 pounds right now. I have a photo of a king from Andre Arroyo sent me this shot. He got that nice schoolie king trolling lures on the 6 Mile Reef.
Nice. Hey, every week we got to have a bass report. This no rain. What's it doing to our bass fishing?
Yeah, the water levels are dropping again at Holiday Park and the Sawgrass Recreation Area. And that's pulling the bass off the flats into the canals, really concentrating the fish. Because of the heat, the best action's been early and late in the day, and then also after the rainstorms pass through and cool things down a little bit. But the fish are holding in the canals. They're holding real tight to the shoreline vegetation in those canals. So middle of the canal is not going to get the fish. You want to stay tight to all the vegetation. Look for the culverts and canal intersections with moving water. The fish will really stack up in that cooler water. Most of the bass are under 2 pounds. Start your day throwing a small prop bait or a June bug colored worm rig Texas style. You can also throw moving baits like frogs or RSB worms or small chrome and blue blueback lipless plugs. If you're looking for big fish, try the small ponds and coves that are filled with lily pads that are just outside or bordering the canals. Right now it's a 50 fish morning, 100 fish day if you stay out there in the heat. So the Sawgrass Recreation Area is a place to go if you're looking for a lot of action, but not a lot of big fish.
Mike, thank you so much. What a great report, man. I just want to get off the couch and go fishing. What about you, Bree?
Off the couch? I never sit down on the couch.
Oh, come on. That's because you got two little babies.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, bud.
Mike.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week. It's time for the TH Marine Hotspots from the East Region. Captain Mike says inshore, tarpon in the mouth of Big Mud Creek, live mullet, or Houdini 4-inch saltwater sea sad assassins, and then offshore, sailfish in 70 to 100 feet of water off Hobe Sound, live threadfin, pilchards, or sardines, slow trolled or fished off the kite's gonna work for those dudes.
Saltwater assassins, sea shad. Say that 5 times fast. You can't even say it
Especially after
once.
a woman Coke or maybe even someone be your Castaway Coffee Nitro.
Oh,
Can you imagine?
Coke. No, you're gonna. All right, get ready for the Shoreline Showdown Surf Fishing Tournament Series presented by Fish Bites. 4 tournaments, 1 championship, and over $75,000 in guaranteed payouts. You can fish for a chance to qualify to compete for the title of the Ultimate Surf Angler. We are 1 tournament down, 3 to go. So for more information, visit shorelinesshowdown.com or scan that QR code on your screen to check out the dates and locations. Also take note for this tournament this weekend in Destin, the date has been changed from the 18th to the 19th, so make sure you scan that QR code to get all the information. All right, Captain Tommy Derringer is on top of everything bait in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region, so let's see what we're catching. Hi, Tommy.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Rick. Hey, Dave. Bait fishing, hey, it's a big deal here in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region. I think everywhere in Florida, bait fishing is a big deal. But, our go-to live baits for inshore, they're going to be shrimp and mud minnows and, of course, mullet. and just about all our inshore game fish eat those baits, and that's pretty much year-round. Now, those live baits paired with like a simple quarter-ounce jig head or a fish finder rig, it's something that I use pretty much every day on my charters. Now, live finger mullet is hard to beat this time of year, and also a cut mullet or a cut piece of mullet is also a great bait for redfish through the upcoming summer months. You know, if you're fishing inshore over the next couple of months, don't forget your cast net, because having some mullet in the live well, that's going to come in very handy. Now, redfish also love a chunked up piece of blue crab. You know, the mullet, the cut crab, they work wonders in our murky summertime waters. Even right now, after all the rain we've had, it's real murky. They give off a ton of scent, and that's going to attract some fish. Now, there's so many different baits to talk about when you're talking on the offshore side of things. You know, you got the frozen sardines, the cigar minnows for bottom fishing, and of course, the guys are going to be trolling. They're going to be using ballyhoos as well as a variety of live baits. Now, something that's kind of interesting, that's been very popular over the last couple of years, is a lot of those offshore guys are now using small live bonitas for wahoo. I'm not giving out too many secrets there, but that's kind of been the way to go for those wahoo. Now, as we head into the summer months, the one bait, we're going to talk about it a ton, and we get a lot of love for this bait in my region, is the menhaden, or as we call them, pogies. Now, I always try to fill the live well with some pogies if I'm going to be fishing anywhere off the beach or offshore or even around the inlets or even inshore. They're really a versatile bait. You can fish them on the bottom, up top. You can troll them. They make for some awesome cut bait on the inshore and offshore side of things. You know, everything from tarpon, kingfish, sharks, the big jacks. They're all going to be snacking on those menhaden or pogies in the surf all summer long, and they're here already right now. And there's always some awesome action around those big pogie pods or schools of bait right there along the beach. Now, we're actually kind of moving offshore, or staying offshore, the grouper. You know, with another month left of grouper season, I thought I'd do a quick little update on it. I spoke to Captain Adam Jeffrey from the Real Dream. He's still catching some big groupers, man, some big ones east of St. Augustine. Extra large size, whole Boston mackerels on a heavy setup. He's using like 150-pound leader. That's been Adam's go-to. He's using up to maybe 1, even 2 pounds of weight, depending on the current of lead, to get down deep in that 160 to 200-foot range. Now, Captain Adam, he sent me a bunch of pictures of some huge groupers. It's really impressive. So if you're looking to go catch one of those sea monsters, I would definitely give him a call and book a trip ASAP. And I've got one of those pictures here. Here's a few of Captain Adam's happy customers with a huge gag grouper that they caught in about 180 feet of water on the Real Dream. How about the size of that grouper there, guys?
That's a big one there, bub. So cool. All right, let's talk inshore.
Yeah, man, the redfish bite continues to be great this week. I'm so pumped that the redfish bite has been so good. You know, the topwater bite has really turned on for me and my clients here recently. We've been tossing my new go-to favorite, the Berkeley Jaywalker, the 120 in the mullet color. And man, have the reds been crushing that thing. They really love that. They've also been eating those live finger mullet I was talking about. You know, there's a lot of them around right now. And I've seen some really cool stuff this week with redfish just busting through some schools of mullet. And when you see that, you know it's time to bust out the top water. Now, like I said earlier in my report, don't forget to bring the cast net. Grab some of those finger mullet if you're not into the top water thing, and fish them on a jig or a fish finder rig. Fish the creek bends or along your favorite oyster bar and just hold on. And I've got another picture here, guys. Our buddy Mallory Hendricks, she's always catching a bunch of great fish. She sent me this picture of a big redfish that she recently caught on one of those little finger mullet. Now, also inshore, guys, trout bite is great right now as well. I spoke to Captain Matt Chipperfield. He tells me he's been on a great gator trout bite this spring. He always seems like he is. Captain Matt tells me that around the new and full moons, he's been finding some giant trout. And those big tides during those moons, that tends to get those bigger trout to really be on the feed. Now, Matt has his clients tossing the top water early. Then he's going to switch to a subsurface plug once the sun gets a little higher in the sky. And he's been targeting the schools of finger mullet again on the edges of the oyster bars on the low tide stage. And then if the tide's up, he's fishing those grass lines. And again, looking for those finger mullet. I have one last picture here that Captain Matt sent me. This is just one of many giant gator trout that he's been putting his clients on all spring long.
Wow,
Those are great
wow, wow.
fish, man. Good
Wow.
report. Thank you so much, Chami. You always do a great job each week. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone hotspots. Captain Tommy says inshore redfish and trout on the top water plugs at first light. Fish the grass lines on the early outgoing tide around the schools of mullet. And then offshore, a good mixed bag on the troll of blackfins and mahis at the ledge. Try an islander lure in purple and black in front of a horse ballyhoo to catch those blackfins and mahis while trolling.
Well, Rick, from what I can see at the CCA workbench for Taco Marine New Products, Dave is going to be holding up some ladies' clothing, which I'm so, not yet.
I will be.
You will be, but I'm excited for this too.
Yeah, this is, well, you ruined it for me. I was gonna say this was a massage thing, but it's not.
It could be. It could be.
Oh boy.
It's not.
We're excited for the clothing anyways, and we're seeing what kind of frenzy is happening over in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region with Captain Jeff Hageman. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Amerit Trail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Well, Dave, it's time in the show for the Taco Marine New Products here at the CCA Workbench, bub.
Yeah, you have to use half up the show part just to say all that. I'm glad we do it. Anyway, we're talking, first off, we're going to go with the Scientific Angler's launch pad there. It's not a torture device or a massage table, which I was going to try to use that joke, but got nailed on it. Anyway, it's made to, manage your fly line when you're on the deck of a boat, or even standing on the seawall, or any place where there's a nice flat surface and you're fly fishing. It takes the hassle out of managing the fly line coils, and it's just a really cool casting mat. It's made from UV resistant silicone and UV plastic grommets, those grommets on there, because you want to secure it to the boat or whatever in case you get excited on a bite or kick it off, because this thing does not float.
Correct.
It will sink. And those grommets allow you to keep it attached to the boat. It's 37 inches by 6 inches,
right.
And it has an angler-centric curved design, so you can stand right in the middle, and all your fly line will fall right into it. It's great for capturing line while moving, or changing angles when you're casting. Those little tall spikes on the end are 2.25 inches, and they're made to control the line. To keep it from flying line, and then the shorter ones keep your line from tangling up when it's laying on it.
Yeah. So what we do on the Murphy's Law skiffs, Dave, or even in my bay boat, we use two of these. So we put one immediately to our left, and then we put one behind us.
Okay.
And that way, because they're
if you're
movable,
stripping or something?
Yeah. And some guys are still using the buckets, but when you cast and then you start stripping, you're not trying to fish back into the bucket.
Right.
This has now cured everything.
Beautiful.
Where do we go to find it?
It's made in the USA. Scientificanglers.com.
All right.
Now I get to do my fashion stuff here.
Yeah,
we
this
got
is
the
always
Real
fun.
Legends. It's Skin Cancer Month, as me and you both know. We've just both had to go to the dermatologist and get cut on and frozen and all that stuff. But the May is the Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and all the items up here are made from a special fabrics that earn the seal of recommendation from the Skin Cancer Foundation, and they have a little tag on the little tag. It says it, the Skin Cancer Foundation,
right?
All the little tags.
I got it.
So the first one there is the men's Real Tech long sleeve fishing shirt. Always wear a long sleeve shirt. You don't want the sun hitting your forearms. It's actually cooler for you. And this has moisture wicking fabric and a quick dry. And the next one there is the Saltwater 2 long sleeve fishing shirt. Again, UPF 50. It's got utility chest pockets on each side. It's even got a little rod holder on it somewhere. And fully vented on the back and the underarm as well.
This is my favorite shirt that Real Legends makes when I come to, dressy, a little bit more dressy. Love it.
It's really good for fishing too, by the way.
Yeah.
Next, we have a couple ladies tops here. The pink one here is the Real Tech long sleeve UPF 50. It's a tech shirt. Really cool little, floral pattern there with the leaves and the flowers. Moisture wicking as well, just like the guy's stuff, and it dries really fast.
If we put this on Bree, she would become Bree-licious.
Yes, she would.
Of course.
Next, we have the Mariner long sleeve, the sage one there, and it's UPF as well. Chest pocket, vented in the back, moisture wicking and quick dry. So go
Bree,
to Real Legends.
look at how they taper this into the waist for you girls.
There you go.
Looking
good.
Go to reallegends.com to get some of that.
Good job.
Last but not least, we've got a few seconds here to talk about the Savage Gear Pulse Tail bait fish. It's got 7 different color combinations, comes in 3 and 4 inch sizes, 1 ounce to 3/8 ounce. It's got that patent pending pulse tail, so it really kicks hard. You can fish it fast or slow. It's got a built-in rattle. High quality painted details on there. They're modeled with a 3D laser, so
Correct.
To make it from a bait fish. So they're really nice. You got heavy duty hooks. You notice this hook here is really fat hook. So if you hook a big fish, you don't have to worry about pulling the hooks.
Variety of different
Go
sizes.
to savagegear.com to get the Savage Gear Pulse Tail bait fish.
Good job. You got it all in there, Hot Rod.
Got it all in. That tapered button up is my ultimate favorite. I have it in almost every color.
There you go.
Have another one.
I didn't have this one. All right, bait is where all the fun begins in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region. So let's see what Captain Jeff Hageman has us reeling in this weekend.
Well, bait's kind of the most important part of the day, and it's the way you get your day started. And having the right bait to target the species you're after is key. There's several different species of bait fish commonly used in my region. Shrimp, pinfish, pigfish, scaled sardines, threadfins, Spanish sardines, mullet are the most common types of bait fish we have in our region, and they all have their own challenges to catch first thing in the morning. Some of the stuff you can get from local bait shops like shrimp and pinfish, you can usually pick those up at your local bait shop. Popular bait in our area is a scaled sardine or a pilchard. To catch those, you're going to have to get a cast net. If you're not familiar with a cast net, there's a lot of YouTube channels. There's some fishing seminars that teach people how to throw cast nets. Attend one of those. 8 to 12 foot net, 3/8 is probably our most common used. And you want to probably get a light one if you're doing it on the flats, and a little heavier if you're trying to catch bait off the bridge or off a channel marker. A little practice in the backyard never hurts. Helps you get in swing of things. When you get out in the day, you have a nice day, an easy day of catching bait. You can catch bait on the grass flats and the bridges, piers, like I just talked about. If you chum a little bit, you can concentrate them and get them really fired up and right behind the boat and only make a couple throws and get out there and get fishing. Sabiki rigs are another common way to catch bait in our region. Thread fins, blue runners, and even pinfish offshore. Digging off the channel markers, you can catch them like that. You can also catch pinfish and pigfish in a trap. If you put a trap out the night before fishing and catch those pinfish on the deeper grass flats, or hook and line them. Pass crabs float out the passes during the summer months in the outgoing tides on the new and full moons. And in the evening, you can dip those up if you're going to go going permit fishing or tarpon fishing. That's a quick and easy way to catch bait for tarpon fishing the next day, is dip some crabs the night before. Moving offshore, Captain Billy Nobles out of St. Pete reports a great red grouper bite right now in 70 to 130 feet of water. He's fishing on that Swiss cheese hard bottom. His go-to bait right now has been cut sardines, 80 pound to 100 pound fluorocarbon leader, 8 circle hook with 6 to 8 ounces of lead. Heavy gear is a must right now to get these big fish out of these holes and keep them up to the boat. And I got a couple photos of a couple beautiful fire trucks from Billy.
Nice. All right, what else you got for us?
Moving on inshore. Captain Mario Costello, Talltails Charters, fishing out of Ozella Keys Marina right now. Of course, trout bite's been really good in the grass flats and anywhere from 3 to 5 feet of water in Crystal River, in between Crystal River and Ozella. He's using a 3.5-inch paddle tail and a 5.5-inch jerk bait on an 8-ounce jig head. He's casting the edges of the sandy potholes while drifting through the flats. Most of the trout right now are ranging anywhere from 15 to 19 inches, with a few big ones mixed in. Staying inshore, Captain Jim Pollard of Big Daddy Sport Fishing out of St. Pete reports a great afternoon redfish bite into the sunset load low tide right now. All the new moon we just had has that low water in the evenings. He's been fishing right up until dark and doing really good. Also, in the morning in that rising tide, he's been doing really good. Looking for the mullet schools, using cut bait, and I've got a beautiful Tampa Bay redfish for you guys.
All right, bud, thank you. You got through it. Good job, man. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ozella Key Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. He says that inshore, snook around the beaches and the passes use pinfish or sardines on the outgoing tide, and then offshore, the mangrove snappers on the high relief structure in 30 to 70 feet of water, and use cut sardines on a knocker rig. What do you think, Rick?
You just can't say snap or normal, can you?
Nope.
Nope, that's fine. All right. We're taking you to the docks and the fads coming up in the Seasucker Panhandle region, and then into the Takeuchi Keys region with Captain Ridge Murphy. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Florida. Make sure to head on over to our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, to see new fishing adventures with reports, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, and make sure you scan that QR code. We'll see you soon.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. Takeuchi, from world first to world leader. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
So, Bree, do you know how important a trailer is when trailering your boat? It's really and most people, when they buy a new boat, they don't consider how important it is to have a great trailer. But when you're broke down on the side of the road, it becomes really important, you know. Amerit Trail, in my opinion, builds simply the best. So here's a couple reasons why.
Amerit Trail is a company that has created a brand in the world of custom-built trailers. With a commitment to quality and customer satisfaction, Amerit Trail has become a trusted name among enthusiasts and professionals who demand the best. The heart of Amerit Trail's success lies in its attention to detail. Each trailer is built with a keen understanding of the stresses and strains it will encounter on the road. The chassis are constructed from high-grade aluminum, ensuring that they can withstand the rigors of travel without succumbing to fatigue or corrosion. The welding is done with precision, creating joints that are as strong as the metal itself. This meticulous approach extends to every part of an Amerit Trail trailer, from the axles and wheels to the lighting and electrical systems. Automation is about making perfect parts every time and has become a huge part of Amerit Trail and how trailers are built. Employees within the company are trained to operate all of the machines. The latest piece of technology is a 10-meter FOM milling center. The FOM has independent moving vices, which makes setup much faster. Robotic welding with jigs make production of parts efficient and uniform, while lasers cut metals with fine precision. Amerit Trail's owner, Scott Locke, is committed to continue the trend of automation and give you the best possible boating experience. With an unwavering dedication to building trailers that perform under pressure, Amerit Trail continues to set the standard for what a quality trailer should be.
I'm super happy you've seen what we've built here, but don't you think this is the end? We are expanding already with doubling the size of this building, building a new building and a parking lot just down the street.
For anyone in need of a trailer that is built to their exact specifications and designed to tackle any challenge, Amerit Trail stands out as a beacon of American craftsmanship and ingenuity. Amerit Trail. Load, launch, relax.
You know what I love about them is they build custom trailers for all my needs.
Right.
Maverick 17, Bay Boat, 18 Maverick, and now new Front Runner 36.
Woo! Welcome to the family. All right, we're headed to the bait patch in the Seasucker Panhandle region to get some frisky ones with Captain Pat Deneen. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Bree. I tell you, how's everybody doing? You know, when you go fishing, you definitely want to start the day with a live well full of healthy baits, and to do that, you're going to either have to catch them or buy them. You know, the bay boats like shrimp and bull minnows you can buy at your local tackle shops, but croakers, menhaden, pilchards, other small, you know, finfish, minnow baits, you need to catch, and that's where 8 to 10 foot cast net comes into play. And I recommend you have at least 2 nets, or if not more, but at least 2. One with a 1/4 inch mesh for smaller baits, and one with a 3/8 mesh for the bigger baits. That 1/4 inch mesh is going to save you a lot of time and hassle when you throw your net on a group of smaller pilchards or glass minnows or something that's going to gill up in that 3/8 inch mesh. Out in the Gulf, sabiki rigs are the go-to for cigar minnows, herrings, and blue runners. And you're going to find those baits outside of the inlets around the buoy lines early in the morning. When you're sabiki fishing for them, you want to keep tight with your lead and use a little bit heavier lead on your rigs. You know, I like to use 3 to 4 ounces. That prevents a lot of tangles. If you hook a bait on one of the top hooks and you have a lot of slack on it or a light lead, that bait goes crazy. You end up with a tangle every single time. So keeping tight with your bait while you're catching it is important. And now your bait that you're hooked to is doing all the dancing, making those other hooks dance. And it's best to catch them 3, 4, or 5 at a time and just one at a time. Once you get them in the boat, a de-hook or to drop your bait straight into the live well is really important. You keep from touching them, and your baits are going to be much healthier throughout the day. But if you're going out Gulf side fishing and you want to buy live baits and not catch them, we do have live bait boats typically operating out of all of our passes, Pensacola, Fort Walton, Panama City, or Destin, Panama City, where you can pull up, buy boat, and buy your baits. Call them on the radio and idle up to them when they wave you in. You know, they may be fishing, they may not say. It's best to have them wave you in. And there's a picture of my favorite way to catch live bait. Those are the live bait guys out of Destin on Channel 80, and I call them for the win every morning.
Nice.
Your mama.
All right.
Staying inshore, Rick, the speckled trout fishing remains good with some big fish being caught. The trout are on the flats and the shorelines. Mullet and wading birds on those shorelines are good indicators for which flat to fish. And the bigger fish are going to be easing into that shallow water early in the morning and late in the day, with the majority of the fish well out into 3 to 6 feet of water. So if you're looking for those big ones in the shallow water, make long casts, and stealth is the way to go. Nice and quiet, wading or just poling, no trolling motors. Those big girls are in there feeding on finger mullets. The topwater baits and stick baits work well, and they also stay off the bottom, not get grassed up every cast. Late morning and midday, ease out into the deep flats and the roll downs, chum with live menhaden pilchards, and free line your baits, or cast paddle tails on 1/4 ounce heads. And there's a really nice picture of Scott Carson's. He's from Panama City with a beautiful back bay speckled trout he caught this past week. It's fish. It's got nice spots and color on it. So
beautiful.
Very nice.
Let's go offshore, bub.
Yeah, Rick, offshore, the blue marlin fish has been pretty stellar and also relatively close to home, namely the Okaloosa Fad Network and the Spur in the DeSoto Canyon area. Numerous blue marlins have been caught with several boats reporting multiple hookups. I even heard of one boat hooking a triple. And they're catching them by either slow trolling live baits or trolling a mix of lures, ballyhoos, and Spanish mackerel. The fads are a great place for live baiting using the small tunas, while you can troll lures like mole crafts, wide rangers. That's a great way to cover a lot of ground versus just sticking tight to the fad. And there's no telling what size blue marlin you're going to encounter. There's a photo from the charter boat Mesa out at Destin with a very healthy blue marlin they caught and released last week on a full-day trip. So congratulations to those guys.
Yes, sir.
Finally, offshore, the blue marlin are out there for a reason. That reason's food. The dolphins and tunas are prime food for the blue marlins, and some really nice dolphins have been caught this past week. You want to look for floaters, color changes, and temperature breaks. Those fads are another great place to find them. Just surface structure. Dolphins are definitely that surface structure oriented. Ballyhoo, islander combinations, naked ballyhoos, and small lures are the way to go. But it also pays to have some spinning rods rigged and ready with live baits or cut baits in case you run into a cluster of baits or a cluster of dolphins, and it's time to whip out the spinning rods and get on them. Dolphins 30 pounds or so are being caught, and I know Lady M had a really nice catch of slammer dolphins this past week.
All right, Pat Tar, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Sea Sucker Panhandle region, inshore dock lights in Santa Rosa Sound and Chakawaki Bay have been good for trout and redfish. Deep water docks, look for some current and fish some small live baits and shrimp underneath those docks. And in offshore, blue water is hot right now around the spur, DeSoto Canyon, and the Fads Troll mixed spread of ballyhoos and plastics for pelagics.
Pelagics, all right. As you know, Rick, when we go fishing in the Takeuchi Keys region, Captain Ridge Murphy is always prepared on the bait front. So let's hear how he does it. Go for it, Ridge.
You know, here in the Alta Equipment region, when it comes to bait, get more of it. If you ask Chris Trossett down in Key West, the first thing he will say about bait is you can never have enough, and I can't agree more. At times, it can be more important than fishing itself, and others, it can be the hardest part of the day. Preparation is your friend, and if you have access to keeping bait in a bait pen, R&R has bait pens that you can buy online at rnrtackle.com. During the fall and spring months, guys will hook and line catch baits to sabikis like threadfin herring, sardines, cigar minnows, pilchards, and goggle eyes. They take very good care of these baits and do what we like to call seasoning them. This is where we keep baits for weeks and months at a time, feeding them daily and making them very hardy and strong. A good, healthy bait can result in great fishing and make difference in come tournament time. Now for the regular day trip, a 12-foot cast net, a chum bag, and the occasional hoop net and an anchor will be your friend. Anchor up current of the rocks that are holding ballyhoos or cigar minnows and be patient. 2 rods at a time with 12-pound mono, a small float, and a small worm hook and a piece of shrimp for ballyhoos, and sabikis with a 1 to 2 ounce lead for the cigar minnows. Make sure to have an R&R de-hooker ready to go. That way the baits can come off the bait right into the live well with minimal touching. Once the school gets in range, you can hoop net or cast net, but remember you're only going to get a couple shots, so make them count. When the ballyhoo net boats start moving in, it makes it a little harder to find the ballyhoos, so guys will shift gears and start looking for the pelicans. Look for birds diving or picking on the schools or pilchards and watch closely to the direction that they're moving. Idle around the area and try to mark them with your depth finder. It'll look like a fuzzy rock on your screen, and sabiki or throw cast nets behind the motors and give them time to sink. If you're having a hard time catching them, throw some sand and that'll help. That'll also help with the cigar minnows in the net. But personally, there's nothing better than a sabiki caught bait, so if you can have the time, or either an extra afternoon or even a day to catch bait, proper planning is definitely going to help. So definitely take the time to catch that extra bait.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Mahis are starting to show up, so get the breadcrumbs ready and look for birds, weed lines, debris, and turtles in 400 to 900 feet of water. Troll 2 R&R Mahi magnets until you get one on the line, and then throw live pilchards on a 20-pound spinning rod with a 40-pound leader and an eagle claw circle hook. The 2-0 or 4-0 will work. Take your time and then try to capitalize on multiples. One by one, shake them off into the fish box, and remember, 20 inches to the fork is legal. Try to catch the small ones or try to move on from the small ones. Don't stick in the school if you know they're not legal. And then make sure to have a dedicated big fish rod with a 30-pound mono, 60-pound leader, and a 5-0 to 7-0 live bait eagle claw hook. Keep that rod in the rod holder on standby. That way there's no imperfections in the line and no imperfections in the leader, and you'll see that big bull and you'll be ready to go. I have a picture of James Hagan with a giant big bull that he caught on the Yabba Dabba Doo with a 55-pounder the other day on his charter.
Amazing.
Go inshore quickly.
I spoke to Jake Turk, and he says he's seeing lots of bonefish all up and down the Keys, and the occasional permit shop pull up on top of the flats with the current, looking for mutters, tailors, and stop the boat short of them. Throw a live shrimp up current of the fish and give them time to find it. You can also throw bucktail jigs, tan or pink, or shrimp pattern flies, and I have a photo of Dan Benson from Powerful with his first bonefish that he got with my dad and I before last week's show. So congrats on that bucket list fish, Dan.
Go ahead, bub.
We talked about this last week, and the red fishing has been pretty good. In the backwaters of Isla Mirada, Upper Keys has been pretty good. The fish have been in the moats, potholes, and the clean water, and make sure you're looking for rays. The rays have been holding the fish on their backs and throw light, medium light, 7-foot Finwick spinning rods, a 3,000, 4,000 size 10 spinning reel, 8 to 15-pound braid, and a 20 to 30-pound fluorocarbon leader with a bass assassin 5-inch jerkbait, 4-inch C-SAD, or even the PNV. Bright colors, lime truce, white, and pink will work, but also natural colors like the Houdini, Drunk Monkey, and baby bass will also work. And I got another photo of Danny Vaughn with a nice redfish that he got fishing in Flamingo on the flag.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Takahauchi region. Ridge says the bone fishing is hot. Look for the mudders and the tailors as the fish feed into the current, throwing light tackle spinning rods with live shrimp ahead of the fish. Let them find it, reel it fast as you can for 10 seconds. Once he eats it, and then rod tip will load up. And then if you want, go offshore fishing 400 to 900 feet of water looking for debris and weed lines with the birds. For the mahis, troll, or live baits will get the job done.
All right, it's time to check out some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys. First, we have the Ladies Let's Go Fishing Screamin' Reels Tournament, where women anglers gather for 2 days of fun fishing offshore and inshore in Islamorada. Then we have the Skipper's Dolphin Tournament, where teams compete in Key Largo for over $50,000 in cash prizes, including $20,000 for the first place team with the highest combined weight of 3 mahi-mahi. Next is the 31st Annual Lower Keys Chamber of Commerce Dolphin Tournament, June 7th through the 9th, where anglers contend for over $35,000 in cash prizes and awards. And finally is the Father's Day Dolphin Derby, June 15th, yay, in Marathon, with cash and prizes awarded to the top 4 places based on largest dolphin by weight. For more information on these Keys tournaments and more, head to flakeys.com. We're finding out the best way to catch bait in the Real Legends Central East region when we come back with Captain Jim Ross. So keep practicing those net throws, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Island Lures. Tournament Tackle. The IGFA. Every fish, every water, every angler since 1939. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. Real Legends, available at bellsflorida.com. And Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the Power Pole Pro Series. Now guys, if you have a technical poling skiff, this is the shallow water anchor that you're gonna wanna look for. The reason why is because it's very lightweight and designed specifically for those technical poling skiffs. So if you have a Maverick HPXS with carbon fiber, your weight is everything. Now, the Pro Series comes in a 4-foot, 6-foot, and 8-foot models. And the thing that I love about them is, depending on the model, they're only 13 to 17 pounds. We also have ported it to give it actually less weight as well. But make sure you understand that we have a very quiet pump that comes with it, so you still have that strong traditional hold when it comes to the bottom. Remember this about the Power Pole Pro Series is it's been specifically designed for technical poling skiffs and for fishing around spooky fish. So if you have any questions about any power poles, go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week. Keep it light, it'll keep it right.
That's a good one.
That's right.
That's right. All right, Captain Jim Ross is with us from the Real Legends Central East region. And Jim, you have some very important cast net info that we might not always consider, so let's hear it.
That's right, Bree. You know, when you're buying a cast net, it's really important that you want to catch fresh bait and nice lively bait. And guys in my Real Legends region, a lot of times they don't buy the right size mesh or the right size diameter net for what they're trying to catch. I see guys trying to catch pogies with these little 6-foot 3/8" mesh nets that are designed for finger mullet. I see guys trying to catch finger mullet with pogie nets, and they gill them all the time. So here's the thing you need to look at. If it's a small bait fish like a glass minnow, a baby pilchard, or a little baby pogie, look at like the 3/16 or 1/4 inch mesh. You can actually catch them without gilling them. Finger mullet or medium-sized pilchards, you know, for the guys on the West Coast, they call it white bait, pinfish, maharas, stuff like that. Get a 3/8 inch mesh net. And if you're looking for full-size pogies or mullet, anywhere from a 3/4 inch to 1.5 inch mesh net. And you know, you're going to want it to sink fast enough to catch the bait. So some guys will throw them a little heavier weight on there. But there's also, you can go too heavy on the weight if you're fishing in too deep a water. So there's a lot of different considerations to take into effect. Now, personally, I don't throw anything less than about an 8-foot net. which opens up to about 16 feet in diameter. And the reason I do that is I don't want to spend all day trying to catch enough bait just to go fishing. Now, I don't care if you're 4 feet tall. I don't care if you're 8 feet tall. You're only throwing the last feet of any net that you buy if you properly load it up and cast it properly. So just think about that. It can be a 12-foot net, but you're only throwing 3 feet. The last 3 feet is what you're coiling the rest of it up. So learn to throw it properly. That's the key thing. That way you get enough bait in just a handful of throws to pretty much last all day. Now, I've got a picture here of a cast net, and you can look at the cast net on the left. It has 1/4 inch mesh, and a cast net on the right has 3/4 inch mesh. So the one on the left, small pilchards, glass minnows, that sort of thing. The one on the right, pogies, things like that. So buying the proper mesh size is critical so that you don't gill the baits, kill them. You could have just bought frozen bait anyway if you're going to just do that. So don't do that. Get good, fresh, lively bait and catch more fish. Now, moving on to gag grouper. Season opened about 2 weeks ago, and the guys in the Central Florida region are doing really good on the grouper right now. Most of our gags are coming in about 180 to 250 feet of water between Canaveral and Ponce Inlet. If you're fishing to the south, the guys out of Sebastian are actually catching them in the 90-foot bar, and you want to use some big baits. Blue runners, croakers, even small bluefish are great live baits. Slow pitch jigs are also working really well and getting some nice gags right now. I've got a picture here of one that Mike Brown caught. Most of our fish are running 20 to 30 pounds, so they're really good gags right now.
Yeah, that is a good one.
It sure is, Rick. And then swinging inshore, we've got redfish, we got fingerling mullet, and pogies are the baits that you want to get these fish fired up with. You can take a handful or two and throw them up against the mangrove trees where you're finding these fish beneath them, and those baits will be twirling, injured, and then, of course, you put a hook in one, put it in there on the X, and boom, it's a hookup. Les Bender did just that the other day. Here's a picture of him with Captain Brian Pounds, and they caught some really nice redfish up in the Mosquito Lagoon area. And then finally, we got snook. Now, snook are holding under many of the same mangrove trees that the redfish can be found under, and the same technique of chumming can get them to fire up. Here's the thing. Small hooks, you want to make sure you have a nice, sturdy, small hook, because you don't want to put too big a hook in the bait and then kind of kill the action, because snook get a little fussy when the bait's not quite right, and they can be really particular, especially if they see a big hook sticking out of a small bait fish. Now, you want to use some 20 to 30 pound braided line. That Penn Battle 4,000 reel or 5,000 size reel works really good. And I've got a 30-inch fish that we caught over in Cocoa Beach the other day. There's plenty of these bigger snook around right now, so you guys and gals get out there and catch them up.
Thank you so much, Jim. Great report. Thanks for batting clean up for us. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine hotspots from the Central East region. He says inshore mangroves covering the shoreline from Vero to Sebastian for those big speckled trout and snooks. Free line live croakers or mullet for fish ranging from 25 to 40 inches. Wow. And then offshore, the gag groupers on reef structures in 160 to 250 feet of water. Use live or chunk pinfish, grunts, croakers, for fish up to 35 pounds. If I caught a 35-pound gag grouper, I'd lose my bananas.
Bananas. Just bananas. All right, when you're on the road, make sure you show your support for Florida's fisheries with a Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Funds from the sale of the redfish tag directly support protecting and enhancing marine resources, habitat restoration, water quality, and coastal environmental education. So make sure you get yours now at your local DMV or redfishtag.com. But you know what, bottom line, guys, if you don't start your day with bait, you're dead in the water. So make sure you get out there with your bait straight and stay with us so we can tell you what we're catching next week. What? On the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We'll see you guys in a second. All right, next week we're talking tuna. We have a live audience, so make sure you sign up for that. And Rick, I see something very special in your hands.
Yeah, man. You know, Bree, the new International Game Fish Association World Record book came out, and they sent me one because it had the snook on the cover, and I thought that was really cool to share with everybody.
Not only does it have all the world records in it, but it's got some really cool articles in there. I think there's a cool article in there about my buddy Larry Walker from Texas.
There he is.
And his world record catches. Yeah. Just really cool stuff in there. That whole book's really neat. Maybe they'll have me write something for it one day.
That'd be nice. We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Sure.
Let's see that.